What's up, everyone? I'm Gio,
And I'm Josie.
and today is a new episode of Games I Speak. This week was rather slow.
Tepid.
It was tepid. There wasn't some like major controversies going on, but I tried to get some decent stories. So let's start off with the first one. Steam sensation Valheim sold 5 million copies in 1 month as an early access title.
Wow.
Yeah, this is actually very impressive. So the game is in the top 5 most played Steam titles of all time right now. So that makes this game like one of the best successes of a PC game. And so
In recent
in
history.
recent history. Now, I so basically this story is just talking about like, how the game blew up. So it sold more than 5 million copies since it launched on February 2nd. So it didn't even take really any time to sell all those copies. It's developed by Iron Gate Studio, and it's selling for $20 right now. So that's the I don't know if they're gonna raise the price when it's a completed title, but
Yes.
that's the early access price right now. Um, so they made around $100 million before you take Valve's cut and everything, and I believe Valve has a 30% cut, which is pretty high. That's pretty steep. Um, but it's
But
good.
no one's suing Valve.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they got the user base. Um, so that's essentially what you're paying for. Uh, so yeah, so this was a developed by a Swedish studio with a team of just 5 people.
Impressive.
That is very impressive. And yeah, so
You've been
let
playing it?
yeah, I played it last night just to see.
And
It's fun, man. It's fun. It's like if you took an old school RPG, or not an old school RPG, like an old school MMO, like like old World of Warcraft. That's how it feels. That's how it looks, right? Because you're in this like third person view,
yes.
and all the graphics are very like there's a lot of um, I don't want to say it's like, yeah, it's kind of polygony. It's like a
Polygonal?
low poly game. Um,
Polygonal.
but it does have a unique art style to it, which I think is pretty cool. It's kind of like it's low poly, but then it has like a almost like a watercolor cell shaded type art style. Um, and then it's like married to like the survival type game. Only there's no zombies, which I know the zombie survival genre was huge the past like 5 years.
Yes.
Um, and instead, you're in like it's like
The wilderness.
the wilderness during like the Viking days. So they have the Norse mythology and all that stuff. So it's cool, man. It's cool. It's fun. I played it for about 4 hours last night. And I like it. I can see
Nice.
why people like it. Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
So hopefully, when the game, I would imagine it would take a couple of years because when I downloaded the file, it was only 1 gig. So the
Oh
game,
wow.
yeah, the game is very small as it is right now. Um, but I would hope that in a couple of years, they can do a full release, and then you can get a port on console. Um,
We'll see.
we'll see, we'll see. But this is a game that I would hope that limited run would eventually get to. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, congrats to them. That's a massive achievement.
Yes it is.
Okay. So next up, Resident Evil Village will feature no decapitations, less blood, and fewer controversial scenes when it arrives in Japan. So this is only for Japan, to comply with zero standard. Is that how you say it? Zero? I don't know
Yeah,
how to
I
say it.
guess.
Yeah.
So, I yeah, so I think we talked about this on a personal level
Yes, we
of
did.
in terms of Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
So Resident Evil 4 didn't have decapitations in Japan either. So
Yes.
this is actually there's precedence for this in terms of violence being toned down on the Japanese side, but
Yes.
in the world, the global release, it's not as toned down, and we're allowed that full gore
Hmm.
and decapitations that they did in Resident Evil 4.
Yes. Yeah. So it seems like this is something that,
It's consistent with how they've been doing their games recently.
yeah. Yeah. So, but don't you find it odd? Because when we were young, the Japanese versions usually did have the blood and the gore, and then it would be cut out for Western audiences. You know what I mean? It's like kind of flipped. And I know you said it's been going on for a while, but it's kind of strange, isn't it?
Well, no, because I mean they did the same thing with anime. Anime, a lot of like bloody, gory anime, it is toned down on TV. That's why their Blu-ray sales are so important, or their
Hmm.
DVD sales are so important. It's because you get the uncensored versions on DVD and Blu-ray
Okay.
or VHS. But I think a lot of these violent censorship regulations happened in the late 80s, if not early 90s. So a lot of these Japanese games that were violent and stuff like that, they didn't exist in our time either. They were all being
Yeah.
heavily censored.
But I'm thinking about like the Neo Geo. Remember the Neo Geo? Remember the
Yeah.
Japanese version had red blood and the US version had green blood?
Oh, well, I'm thinking now you're reminding me of Super Nintendo with the Mortal Kombat situation.
Yeah.
But the Mortal Kombat's an American game, so
Yeah, and I did read a interesting comment someone posted about it. It's like the US fought this Mortal Kombat, the whole Mortal Kombat situation. They fought it out in court and they were able to get that freedom where it seems like in Japan that never happened.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't. I really don't know why things are censored. Like I don't know the greater cultural story behind why things are censored the way they are in
Yeah.
Japan.
It's something
But
about
but I
dismemberment.
am happy that they don't stick to that because I mean it would have been easier just to make one version and sell that
Yeah.
worldwide. But instead, they made whatever localized version they had for Japan, and
Mhm.
then the greater worldwide version they've catered to the other markets.
Now, here's an interesting question. I don't know anyone that lives in Japan. Well, actually,
Mm,
that's a lie. I do know one person, but
damn.
I don't really communicate with him regularly. But
I hope
would
they watch this episode and they're like, man, we used to be such good friends.
do do Japanese gamers buy Western versions to skip the censorship? Do you know if that's like a thing in Japan, or are they just
I think it
content
is
to
a,
play
I
the
think it,
Japanese?
so I think it is a thing,
Okay.
and I will base that off of just gamers in general, just being a gamer in general and like
Hmm.
wanting to play different versions.
Hmm.
But a real world example that we actually just covered recently is Final Fantasy VII Intergrade.
Yes.
Now, Final Fantasy VII, when it came out to the West, they went ahead and they made, these Ruby weapon and Emerald weapon. Those were exclusive to the West. And so what Japan would do was they would go ahead and they would create international versions. And the
Oh,
international versions would include the Western sorry,
content.
content,
Yeah.
conduct, content. And I could see, just as much as Western gamers trying to get those Japanese exclusive games that may not come to the West or may come to the West and
Mm.
trying to see that content, Japanese gamers doing the same thing and being like, yo, why is the West getting this exclusive content that we haven't? And
Yeah.
thereby, finding ways of modding and doing whatever they need in order to play that.
Yeah.
It goes both ways.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It does make sense. It probably goes both ways. But that would be interesting to just have a conversation with someone in Japan and like find out that like a third of their collection was Western versions.
Hey, that'd be cool. I
Yeah.
mean, literally, I'm reorganizing my stuff, and I still have like a lot of Japanese stuff that I haven't even been able to finish playing because it is in Japanese. I just saw my copies of Yakuza Kenzan and Ishin on
Oh,
PS3. I was just like, I don't have to play you anymore, but I'm gonna keep you in my collection because I was about to.
yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, here's
Okay.
hoping that it's still being localized.
Yes. Yeah, we covered that last week, so
Yeah.
we'll see. Okay. Next up, we have Bravely Default 2 sales figures. So this is from a post on NeoGAF, and this is taken from Famitsu, and they usually have like sales numbers in there.
Yes.
So this is pretty interesting. Okay, so number one in Japan was Story of Seasons, Pioneers of Olive Town. And this was the number one seller. Bravely Default 2 came in second at 93,061 copies.
Yikes! Not even it didn't even break 100,000.
I know. And if you scroll down, someone brought up, okay, so the Bravely Default debut, 145,000, Bravely second debut, 97,000, and Bravely Default 2 debut, 93,000.
Oh, so that 93,000 is only physical. It doesn't include digital. That's why this person's assuming that plus digital probably 120,000.
Yeah, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
S-
Well, I mean, it is worth noting that that doesn't include digital sales, and digital sales have seen a boon, especially recently after, the current environment that we're in.
Yeah, yeah. So it is, yeah, we don't know the exact counting, um, but it is kind of strange that it's like lower, the number's lower, because if they counted digitals on the other ones, then that means that they just sold better in Japan.
Well,
Um,
there's a story behind Story of Seasons.
mhm,
I actually don't know the exact specifics, so I apologize, but this is just me paraphrasing slash trying to recall.
mhm,
But Story of Seasons and Harvest Moon were both connected in some way, shape, or form,
mhm,
but then they separated.
mhm.
And now Story of Seasons, I think, is the
It's kind of like the
precursor.
the successor to Harvest Moon.
Yeah, it's a Harvest Moon in some way, shape, or form, and that's a life sim, a la something like Animal Crossing. So
Yes.
those games are really really popular.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe that could have cut into the sales as well.
Yeah. I mean, obviously that title was very anticipated in Japan because that was, I mean, it blew Bravely Default 2 out of the water.
Yes.
It was like, you know, more than double. So,
Yes.
um, but yeah, I just found that interesting.
Yeah, I
And
wonder. I wonder how the sales in the West did for Bravely Default 2 did.
yeah, you know what? It's harder to get numbers in the West.
Yes.
It is harder to get the numbers because I think like Sony and Nintendo and or no, Nintendo. In this case, it's only Switch. Uh, Nintendo. I don't know if they share those numbers uh, as like available to the Western press
Hmm.
as they do in Japan. Because some every time when I try to find Western numbers, it's always harder for me to find for some reason. And I notice a lot of gamers go off of Japanese numbers. Just because I don't really see. Maybe I'm looking in the wrong place. Actually, if someone
Wave looks up
knows,
the UK
yeah,
numbers.
yeah, if someone knows a good place to find the Western sales numbers, please like leave a comment, and I'll be very grateful for that because I have a hard time finding them. But yeah, I just found it interesting that it didn't do so well. It didn't
Yeah,
do
that's
as well as I
unfortunate.
thought it would do.
Yeah.
All right, next up, this was all the buzz. Nintendo plans Switch model with bigger Samsung OLED display. Now, we've covered this so many times, and it's getting annoying because it it comes from a source like Bloomberg. Like I covered one that came from Bloomberg also, which said, "Oh, we saw some in Taiwan. There was a factory that made a deal with Nintendo or something like that, and the Nintendo's gonna have the Switch might have 4K screens, right?"
Okay.
So that was last year, early last year, that they came out with that article. And since then, how many times have we seen about the Switch Pro?
Almost weekly.
Almost weekly. So this one is another one from Bloomberg, and uh,
But this one has a little bit
it's
more
more credible.
specifics.
It's yeah, it's more
It goes
credible.
into specific more.
Yeah. So let's read this real quick. So Nintendo plans to unveil a model of its Switch gaming console equipped with a bigger Samsung OLED display this year, hoping the larger touchscreen can prop up demand in time for the holidays. People familiar with the plan said. So they definitely had a source, and that source told them that it is Nintendo planning this deal with Samsung.
Yes. And I
Samsung,
mean, and here's the thing. I don't think the previous rumors about um, the Switch, a new model of the Switch,
mhm,
included like hard or name dropping another company like this.
yeah. Well, the one,
Aside from Nvidia, usually it's Nvidia,
yeah,
but Nvidia is already tied to the console because they made the processor. But in terms of the actual like screen or any other components, like rare, I've never seen another company tied to Nintendo like this
yes,
in a rumor
yeah. So
for the Switch Pro.
yeah, yeah. No, you're right. Except the one Bloomberg one, they did mention a company in Taiwan,
Oh,
but it wasn't like
it was a made up company. I'm kidding.
I don't
Do you
remember. You
remember?
can
Do you remember
find the
what it
article.
was?
We have it actually. I every time
We
I
covered it.
yeah, we covered it. Every time I put a video, I put the source in the comments. So yeah, I should have gone back and looked at it, but I didn't have time. But let me just continue reading something because all right. Samsung Display Co. will start mass producing of 7-inch 720p resolution OLED panels as early as June, with an initial monthly target of just under 1 million units, said the people, who asked not to be identified discussing internal matters.
Those people.
The displays are slated for shipment to assemblers around July, the people said. Representatives for Nintendo and Samsung Display declined to comment. So there you go. Um, that's so okay. Let's first talk about the display. Do you think? Let's not talk because we don't know any other improvements they're gonna have, right? Those like they could upgrade the hardware more. We don't know, but let's just say based off the display, would you upgrade?
No.
Okay.
No, just off the display. No, I would need, improvements in terms of maybe some graphical improvements.
mhm.
I'd like a little bit of graphical improvements. Some would it be the processor in terms of the ability to run games better? Would that
Um,
be would that be a processor improvement?
yeah. So we actually talked about that in a group text with John, who's been on the show several times. And essentially, there's two ways they could do it. One way, they beef up their GPU hardware and they make it like native 4K, right?
Mm,
Which is is very hard to do for the Switch because it's such a tiny little console. You know,
yes,
it's not a big boy console.
like PlayStation 5,
Yeah,
which it takes an entire room.
it's like a spaceship.
It's a server.
It's a
It's a
server.
server, but it's like like an IBM server from like the 1980s.
Funny enough, so I saw a story. We're not covering it. Some guy, he pretended it was a new router, so he tricked his wife.
Yo, no. I think it was a humidifier.
Oh, what is it? Was it? Because the one I read, it
Yeah.
said it was a new Wi-Fi
Oh,
router.
oh, the
There's
one that
probably multiple guys.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
there's
Exactly. What I
probably
read was a humidifier, and then the wife was like, "F that noise."
so. but yeah, so in the case of like native 4K, they would need a new GPU, which I don't think they can do, and just with the size of the Switch. But the what was it, a DLSS or something like that?
Yes.
Um, that is
AI.
artificial intelligence upscaling of to 4K, right? So they could do that, and all they would have to do is put like a processor in there that's capable of upscaling the graphics
Yes.
after the fact, and then that's what they would push out through the HDMI.
Well, I want a beefier console, not in terms of like running like next gen, and by next gen I mean
Mhm.
current gen, like PlayStation 5, Xbox One Series X type of games, not like that,
Yeah.
but in terms of just running Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity without so many frame drops.
Yes. Yes.
That's what I'm looking for. And if I get that much of an improvement, which is just like a half step
Yeah.
before, like an actual, next Switch 2 release,
Hmm.
I would probably do that. It'd be like, the 3DS and the new 3DS.
Yes.
I got the new 3DS and I thought the improvements were substantial enough. The loading times were improved.
Hmm.
Yes, there were specific games that you could only play on the new 3DS, but there wasn't that many. But and the stick, the
Hmm.
C stick was also an improvement.
Yes.
So yeah,
So
no, I would definitely get on that train if they did like a new Nintendo Switch.
okay, I get what you're not just an
How
iterative
about
upgrade.
yeah, exactly. If it's just the screen, nah,
Okay.
nah.
Okay. So and I will say that the screen only being 720p is also an issue to some people
Why? Oh,
because
well, I
that's
mean,
but
it's so close to you.
it
It
is.
doesn't make that substantial of a difference.
But yeah, but what I would say is the fact that it's an OLED, the quality of the screen, it's an OLED screen.
It'd be a marked improvement.
That yeah, it would be an improvement, and it would negate the fact that it's only 720p because an OLED screen is just brighter and clearer. So
The thing is that I play predominantly on docked mode,
mhm.
and in docked mode,
Same here.
I have it connected to an M Classic,
Hmm.
which improves the look just a little bit,
Yeah,
and I have it connected to a 65-inch Samsung OLED. So
yeah,
I already got that covered.
yeah. You do. So yeah, you wouldn't need it. That you wouldn't need an upgrade like that. You would want
Yeah,
a power
in terms of
boost.
the portable
Yeah,
nature.
yeah. And we're not saying I'm not saying that you know native 4K or go home because I realize the size constraints.
Yeah.
But I would say that like a
The,
faster processing, less drop frames would go a long way.
oh,
Yeah,
definitely, especially with a game like Monster Hunter Rise along the horizon. Like I'm excited for that game, but I'm also kind of wary especially with how Hyrule Warriors, which is, practically first party Nintendo game, having
yeah,
so many technical issues.
yeah. That is a shame. And you're waiting to play it, right?
Yes,
Until they at
yes.
least until they address the bugs,
I
right?
think that's the story of like 2020/2021. Like getting games and just waiting to play them, like Cyberpunk
Yeah,
2077.
yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, I have it, but I'm waiting until they clear that joint out.
Fair enough. Fair enough. It's painful. It's painful.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Next up, this is kind of hilarious. Rockstar owner, Take-Two CEO, argues players are ready for $70 games. So I'm going to read this.
Yeah.
We announced a $70 price point for NBA 2K21. Our view was that we're offering an array of extraordinary experiences, lots of replayability, and the last time there was a frontline price increase in the US, it was 2005, 2006. So we think consumers were ready for it, Zelnick replied. He did stop short, however, of suggesting that future games will cost $70 going forwards. Instead, suggests that company needs to focus on providing a level of content that justifies that price point. So he continues to go on. We haven't said anything about pricing other titles so far, and we tend to make announcements on a title by title basis. But I think our view is that we want to always deliver more value than what we charge. Make sure the consumer has the experience and the experience of paying for it. Both are positive experiences. This, I don't buy this line at all. Uh, we all know anecdotally that even if you love a consumer experience, if you feel you were overcharged for it, it ruins the experience. You don't want to have it again. Blah, blah, blah. Um, so we always want to make sure that the consumers feel like we deliver much more than we ask in return. And that's true for our current consumer spending as well. We're an entertainment company. We're here to captivate and engage consumers, and we do that. Uh, and if we do that, then monetization follows. All right. So for those that don't know, NBA 2K21 was the first game that was officially announced to be priced $70. Um, and so, yeah, that's their line of reasoning, I guess, for $70 increase. I mean, how do you feel about that? Do you think he justified it, or it was just mumbo jumbo?
I mean, the argument for $70 has already started.
Yeah.
I mean, it started as soon as the PS5 came out. We paid $70 for Demon Souls.
Yes.
Would you say that that was worth $70?
No. No.
I agree. I agree.
It was not.
I agree.
That
So,
was a
so I
$60
mean,
game.
so in that regards, I mean, even if it was if you thought it was a $60 game, I don't know. I even put it lower
Yeah.
because
It could have been lower. It could have been lower.
yeah, yeah. Um, because at the end of the day, the base of that game is a PS3 game,
Yes.
while
They did not
the
change the core code.
yeah,
The core code running was still a PS3 game.
but that's not to negate the changes that they did make. I mean, the graphical improvements were stunning,
Yes. Yeah.
but in terms of actual like paying for the game, like I said, I beat that game in less than a week. Did I get my value for it? I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah.
That $70 value, especially since it wasn't a brand new experience.
Yeah.
This guy's saying that he is giving a brand new experience. But as far as sports games go, and I don't play them, but they're iterative,
Yes. Yeah.
and from what I understand, well, at least in the case of Madden, they haven't been the updates are mostly due to the roster,
Hmm.
but the core gameplay doesn't change that dramatically.
Yes.
So yeah, I can't speak to NBA 2K. I don't know if you know any more about that. I
No.
know John played it.
Yeah.
John would know.
Yeah.
But as far as like there's sports game players that buy consoles just to play these games.
But they want,
So
a lot of them want that. You're right. A lot of them do just want an updated roster.
yeah.
But some of them do want a new experience. You know what I mean? Or at least improve upon what you already have. Now, yeah, I can't speak to NBA 2K21, but it just seems to me it's like it's all marketing speak.
Well, was this an interview? Because if this was an interview, like they did a poor job of following up. My question would be like, okay, so you're charging $70. Does
Yeah.
that mean you're not going to include microtransactions?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and
Because
that's where it gets frustrating to players because it's like we were already spending $60 for games with microtransactions.
yeah,
Are you
and
expecting?
microtransactions can easily double the
Yes.
amount of the value of the base game.
Yeah.
Easily. Especially if you're like talking about something like Dead or Alive.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, man, there's got to be a point where people just say, "All right, I'm done. I can't do this anymore," right?
Yeah.
And we haven't reached there in a widespread point. So I think that's why they raised the price because they haven't got enough kickback from consumers regarding that. So
They haven't seen like well, we
they
need to see
haven't. It hasn't
the
hurt
next
their
set of
sales
sales.
enough.
Yes,
It
exactly.
hasn't hurt theirs. they've seen the criticism and they've seen the bad press, but it hasn't hurt their bottom line enough.
But even then, an argument can be made in terms of a drop in sales
Hmm.
due to the lack of um, console availability.
Availableness.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the install base for PlayStation 5 just isn't there comparatively with something like the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox.
Yeah.
And by like the Xbox One, One X,
Yeah.
not the Series X.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of factors that go into it,
Hmm.
and I don't know how they're judging these changes or why like just saying point blank experiences like these are the experiences that we've improved upon. It's so general, so
Yeah. Like,
generalized, it's vague.
yeah. What
So
experiences?
yeah, exactly. So yeah, no, to me it does sound like mumbo jumbo. How about
Yeah.
yourself?
Yes. Yeah. When I read it, it just sounded like marketing speak, you know?
Yeah.
Like if
If he
someone,
had valid points, like look, we did
yes.
this.
Yeah. Yeah. Like if someone were to have a meeting and they were like, "Hey guys, we're going to raise the price to $70, but it's because we're delivering experiences." And all the people in the meeting are like,
Tight.
"Yeah. Okay. That sounds good. That sounds good." But then
Cool.
if you
Do we
pitch
have to
that
change
to,
anything in the game? No.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you try to pitch that to gamers, they're like, "Okay, what experiences?
Exactly.
What content? You know,
Mm-hmm.
what are you adding? Is there a VR mode? Can I? Is there a free throw VR mode I can do? I mean, what are you adding? You know, so yeah, I mean, there's a lot of mumbo jumbo in there. I need to see specific upgrades. You know, hey, we raised it $70 because we added this new mode and it took us, 1,000 man hours to develop it or something. You know what I mean? Just something like you can justify it if you want to, or you can give an answer like that where you're not justifying anything.
You're just dancing around it.
You're just dancing around it. So yeah, I think that there needs to be more explanation into why things are so damn expensive. I really do. And if they give a good explanation, I do believe that gamers and consumer, just like a mom buying a game for a kid, will accept it if it's reasonable. I do believe that most people are reasonable. They accept reasonable explanations. But to just say like we feel that this game is worth $70, it's not enough. It's not enough. You got to give us more.
Agreed.
All right. Next up, Ghost of Tsushima devs to be made permanent ambassadors of the real island. So this was sent to us by John, and this is this is pretty cool.
It's
Uh,
awesome.
Game director Nate Fox and creative director Jason Kano will become permanent tourism ambassadors of the city of Tsushima and Nagasaki, the island announced this week. The ceremony will be held digitally due to travel restrictions, and the pair will be presented with the award and a letter of appreciation. To mark the occasion, the city said it will collaborate with Sony Interactive Entertainment to set up a new tourism campaign based on the game, which is designed to encourage fans to learn more about the island and its key landmarks. In a statement, Tsushima Mayor Hiroki Hitakatsu explained why the pair have been awarded the honor. Uh, Fox and Connell spread the name and history of Tsushima to the whole world in such a wonderful way, he said. Even a lot of Japanese people don't know the history of the Genko period. When it comes to the world, the name and location of Tsushima is literally unknown, so I cannot thank them enough for telling our story with such phenomenal graphics and profound stories. The mayor went on to explain that while the award has been given to notable Japanese people in the past, this is the first time it has been awarded to someone who has spread the name and history of Tsushima through their works. So, yeah,
That's super impressive.
it is very impressive.
They definitely earned it. I do want to say though
Hmm.
that Have you seen the specials, the extra features in the game? Oh wait, did you buy the collector's edition? Was this part of
No,
the?
I didn't buy the collector's edition.
Okay, so I got the collector's edition, and they have like this 40-minute, I think, 40-minute special where it's the creative director and the head of Sony, Shuhei Yoshida,
Hmm.
and a Japanese historian.
Oh,
And what happens is that they didn't just do this themselves. They actually got a Japanese historian to work with them to
yes.
make the story. Granted, there's like, a lot of liberties that they took with the things that they did in the story. Like, for instance, the type of sword play is definitely like a few hundred years too early.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, they took a lot of creative liberties, but historically speaking, there is verisimilitude
Hmm.
to the game that makes it feel grounded.
It does.
And they got that with the assistance of like an actual Japanese historian. And I'm wondering if he's getting any kind of credit
Yeah.
for his assistance, because I mean they didn't do it themselves.
Yeah.
But the thing is that they brought this to life, and
Yeah.
I love that they're
Appreciated
being
for it.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's completely true. I
Hmm.
didn't know about Tsushima at
Me
all
neither.
before. I thought it was like made up. I was like, tight,
Yeah.
let's play this game.
Yeah. I
So
had
that's really
no
cool.
clue. I had no clue. Now, did the Mongols actually invade there?
I'd like to think yes.
Okay. Well, either way, I think this is great to see.
If we take
And
this at face value, then
yeah,
yes.
I do want to say this. There were some people that were complaining that this was like cultural appropriation or whatever. But I don't know anyone who did that. So I feel like it just doesn't feel like I never met anyone who complained about that. And
Uh, I
it,
mean, I mean, I mean, there is such a thing as cultural appreciation,
yes.
and appropriation, I believe, and I could be wrong, but appropriation is when it is done without care or respect
Hmm.
to the original culture
Yeah.
that you are appropriating from.
Yes.
Uh, this game does not do that.
No.
If anything, it is incredibly respectful and appreciative of the culture
Yeah.
that they are showing in the video game, and this is proof of it.
Yes. Yeah, and I love to see this because we're only going to get closer as a society and as a world if we can appreciate each other and we can let each other appreciate each other, you know,
And celebrate our
and
differences.
celebrate our differences. Exactly. So, yeah, this is awesome. And I love to see this. I really do. All right. Next up, lawsuit alleging FIFA dynamic difficulty shenanigans has been dropped. So, do you remember this? There was a theory that in the FIFA Ultimate Team multiplayer mode, where you could build your own teams from packs of player cards, players would say that the game was auto adjusting the difficulty so that one day you would play your team would be like OP,
Yes,
and the next day you play your team was garbage, and so you would have to buy more cards.
I have not heard of this,
Okay,
but
okay.
that does sound like some shenanigans, I'll tell you that.
All right. Well, apparently the engineers at EA proved that it's not true. So I'm going to read this. We're pleased to.
Only after changing the code.
Yeah, to be fair,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That was a
to,
joke. That was a
it
joke.
is a joke, but to be fair, unless you show the revisions. So let me read this. We're pleased to announce that the plaintiffs have now dismissed their case, EA said on yesterday's announcement. We provided them with detailed technical information and access to speak to our engineers, all of which confirmed again that there is no dynamic difficulty adjustment or scripting in Ultimate Team modes. This is the right result. They reiterated, while EA does own a patent for dynamic difficulty technology, which is probably what spurred the mistrust. That technology never was in FIFA, Madden, or NHL, and never will be. We would not use DDA technology to give players an advantage or disadvantage in online multiplayer modes in any of our games. And we absolutely do not have it in FIFA, Madden, or NHL. Now, this isn't proof that the plaintiffs came to believe they were wrong. Lawsuits can also be dropped because it's widely expensive to fight a megacorp. We don't know the exact reason why they dropped their suit, but EA did give them access to their technical documents and to the engineers. Now, I feel like moving forward, if you're having people suspect you of something like this in the first place, you should just come out and reveal the details and not have it to go to a lawsuit.
Interesting.
Because the damage is already done. The distrust is already there. You know what I mean?
Yes.
When they could have just...
They weren't proactive.
They weren't proactive.
Like, we'll just wait.
Yeah. They could have just come out and said, hey, guys, here's a 30-minute interview with our engineers. They're going to explain how we're not using this and everything's legit.
They're going to explain how we cheat the players.
Yeah. Like a dev diary. You know what I mean? They could have just done a dev diary in the beginning. So, yeah, I'm glad to see that they weren't, that the odds are they weren't doing that. That's good.
Yes.
But at the same time, if you're a company and people are that distrustful of you, be proactive, you know, reach out to them, and be transparent. And that'll make things much better between gamers and studios. All right. And last up, we have a new Retron console. So it's called the Retron SQ. I believe this is an old picture. This is called the Retron Junior.
Okay.
But this is the cheaper, more affordable way to play your Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance games in HD instead of the analog Pocket that's coming out.
Okay.
So I wanted to show
the
this
analog Pocket and the GBA consolizer.
Yeah, so that only plays Game Boy and Game Boy Color. These ones, the analog and this one also play Game Boy Advance. And the analog is also going to be able to play Game Gear, Atari, and Neo Geo.
Neo Geo Pocket.
Yep. So the analog is much more premium console.
Yes.
But that being said, it's very hard to get.
And expensive.
It's
like $400, right?
Yeah, it's super expensive. So this is only $75.
Yeah, that seems more affordable.
Yeah, way more affordable. So I just wanted to put this on here so that people who are like, you know, they don't have a Super Nintendo that they can play with
HDMI.
An HDMI, or they want to play Game Boy Advance and they don't have a GameCube, so they can't use what's the GameCube one called?
Oh snap, I forget. I'm blanking out right now.
Okay, so there's an NES one called the Super Game Boy, which allows you to play Game Boy and Game Boy Color.
Yes.
And then there's a GameCube one, which we don't know the name, but that allows you to play Game Boy Advance games.
Oh, you're talking about the add-on?
Yeah.
Oh, I still don't remember. It's literally, I'm like looking at it right now, and I don't know what it's called.
You have it?
I think, yeah, it's the Game Boy player for the GameCube.
Yeah. It sticks on the bottom, right? Or something like that?
Yeah, no, I literally have Final Fantasy VI inside the GBA slot right now.
Okay.
The thing is that you can connect the GameCube to HDMI, but if you have the specific GameCube that has the 2 ports in the back,
yeah,
and the add-on that one JC GCHD,
Yes.
and it'll
Yeah.
allow you to connect to either HDMI or with the Wii component cables.
Yep. Yep.
And that's how you can play HDMI Game Boy Advance games. That also plays Game Boy games as well.
Okay. Okay.
But that's really expensive, and you also need the CD because there's a CD that goes into the GameCube tray that has
Hmm.
to be playing for the Game Boy Player add-on to
To
play
okay.
any game in there, which is like, why?
Yeah. So overall, I would say, look, a lot of people hate on these emulator consoles, like the purists, but
Well,
like,
it's because even though they're affordable,
yeah,
there's a lot wrong with them.
yeah, they're not.
And the wrongness comes in the way it plays the games.
Yeah.
There's a lot of lag. There can be issues with sound, which is incredibly important for
Mhm.
these kinds of games as well.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's just they're not completely compatible with all games.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a crapshoot, and that's
It
why
is.
the price is so low.
Yeah. And the fact that it doesn't work with flash cards. So you have to have the regular cartridge.
Oh, that's weird because the Retron 5, I
Mhm.
think, or one of the previous Retrons, the ones that like the all-in-one
Yeah.
consoles that connect to HDMI, they have the flash card ability.
Do they?
Yeah.
I thought you couldn't use flash cards on them.
Oh yeah. The bulkier ones that play like Super Nintendo games and stuff like that,
Yeah.
those have flash cards.
Okay. Well, this one does not allow flash cards.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. So, and maybe the Retron 5 that has flash cards, maybe someone modded that because I feel like they don't allow that out of the gate.
Really, there's
Yeah.
Metal Jesus that talked about it.
Yeah, it might have been a mod or something because I feel like the Hyperkin, the company that
Mm,
makes these,
yes.
they don't allow flash cards because it's like it's harder for them to develop for that.
Okay.
The way that their console is supposed to work is you put the cartridge in, it rips the ROM off of it,
And then you
and
pray
then yeah, and then you pray, and
that it
then
works.
if your prayers are heard, it sends it to an emulator that plays it.
The Hyperkin
Yeah.
Lords.
So yeah, I don't think I really don't think the Retron 5 allows flash cards either, unless it's modded in somehow. But maybe I'm wrong. But this one does not. This one does not.
I'm gonna Google it right
Okay.
now.
Yeah, Google it
Why
right
doesn't
now.
well here's the thing. Why doesn't the Retron well the Retron Junior only plays Game Boy Color, and well it doesn't play it doesn't even look like it plays Game Boy Advance.
Yeah. So the reason the analog consoles allow flash card is because flash cards are made for the original consoles, right? They
Say
work
it
on
again?
original hardware. And analog is a hardware replication of original hardware. That's why they work on the analog consoles. The Hyperkin consoles are they're totally different. They run totally different. They don't run like the original hardware. So that's why I think they don't work on them.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now, from what I see in a recent and by recent 3-year-olds Reddit
Yeah.
thing, it says that flashcards and multi-carts do not work on the Retron 5.
Yep. Yeah. So, yeah. So they,
But, and this is where I was wrong.
okay.
It does use an SD card.
Yes.
That's what I was.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. So some people can hack it to play the games off the SD card instead.
Well, not just that, but also so that they can go ahead and play games to translate them.
Yep. Language patches and all that.
Correct.
So yeah, I just look. This isn't a debate about what's better, analog or this. Analog's obviously better.
Yeah, I was about to say there's no
Yeah.
debate.
Not everyone can get one. Not everyone can afford one. So I just like to bring up these lower cost options because
But is it worth your money?
is it worth your money? I would say yes if you have a big Game Boy library and you don't have any of the other older ways to play. I would say yes. So yeah, the people who need it is slim.
Yes.
But yeah,
The people that need it.
yeah, yeah. I wouldn't scoff at it though. I wouldn't scoff. And hey, maybe you don't have any of the old retro consoles and you have a copy of like an old Pokemon laying around and you just want to play it.
Yeah.
And you want to play it on your TV. Okay, this is $75. It is what it is, you know. So yeah, it's an option. It's an option,
Yes.
and I feel like people should know about these options. Now, if you can get a pocket, get a pocket, because I pre-ordered one the day that
Yeah, you got lucky.
I got
Yeah.
lucky.
I unfortunately hesitated and was flip-flopping and ultimately decided to pass.
Yes,
But I do stay awake at night regretting that decision and probably will for the rest of my life.
and it was gone in like what, like 30 minutes or something
Seconds.
like that.
Elijah Wood couldn't even get one.
What?
Elijah Wood couldn't even get one.
Yeah, it was gone quick. And
Yeah.
so yeah, if you can get an analog one, get it. But I do got to say, like, analog has become so sought after now. There's a lot of scalpers. So this also might alleviate some of that tension as well. You know what I mean?
Well, I wish
There's
I
a
wish
way.
analog would be able to meet the demand
Yeah,
without
it's hard.
stifling the supply.
It's
I know it's
hard.
incredibly difficult,
It's so
especially in
hard.
this day and age,
Yeah.
but still, it's just like the prices are already quite exorbitant.
Hmm.
And granted, their work is quality,
Yes.
but still, it is a premium price
Yeah.
tag. They're like the Ferrari of
Retro consoles.
retro consoles.
I do want to give a tip to analog. If no one's, I know no one's gonna watch this from analog, but here's a tip.
They're always watching. What are you talking about?
If you want to stop scalpers, do what Newegg is doing now with their limited release of GPUs. What they do is they have a sign up page, and you log into your account, you sign up with your email, and then they do a lottery with those emails. And then they shoot the winners an email, and then the winners are given the ability to buy
Access
it.
to purchase.
Yes. That way, you can verify that the users aren't fake. You can verify that they're real people, that they have a history with your site. And you don't have any bots purchasing, because the bots aren't allowed to purchase. Only the people who are authorized are allowed to purchase. So it's a very simple but effective way to shut down scalping. So I would say do that. Now, I know some people are going to say, well, they can make 100 fake email accounts. Well, yeah, but if those fake email accounts have no history of business with them, they can quickly rule them out as fake. So there you have it. That's a good way.
But what about new users that don't have a history of business with them?
Buy a stick of gum. I don't know. Like, I'm not saying that you have to purchase
Can you
something.
please? No. Please, right now, open up a browser, go to Newegg, and try to buy a stick of gum.
I know. It's a joke, man. It's a joke.
It wasn't good.
I'm just saying there's ways that they can handle this. There's better ways that they handle this. That's a good way. That is a really good way, because your hardcore fans who are loyal to you, they will get first dibs. You know what I mean? So
I'm gonna go to Newegg and buy gum now.
Okay, so that's it for this week. As always, if you like the show, like, comment, and subscribe. And I said it last week. We reached 100 subs, and I'm grateful for that. And thanks everyone for watching.
We're really appreciative. Thanks, and keep on gaming.
Take care. Hey everyone, thanks for listening to this episode of Games I Speak. If you liked the episode, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you all next time.